Hello and welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right, capsule. These capsules are small little segments of my Office Hours live stream that I do on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Love to have you come join us live at twitch.tv/theastropub or youtube.com/theastropublive. See, here's chat. You can prove that I'm live. They'll probably be jerks and say I'm not live or something. But also leave the link to the full stream if you want to see it up at the top left. Top left. I think that's left. That direction right there. Can't remember which one it is for you. But yeah, click that up there for you. And yeah, let's get to this. We're going to be talking about the roadmap update. So for those of you who don't know, we had our kind of 0.5 roadmap update 2 weeks ago, but there was, and I talked with Jake about this, specifically Jake mentioned that he was unable to make up the time to process a lot of the information that was given to him because here in Austin, we had a big freeze, which knocked out power for a week. And so Jake just didn't have the power to actually do his job, which is why it took longer than anticipated. So, which is why a lot of this stuff got pushed over to this current monthly report. I don't know why they didn't just say that. It would be a little bit more reasonable, I think, or people would understand a little bit more. But it is what it is. However, this time I'm not just going to look at the roadmap, public-facing roadmap update. I'm also going to look at the progress tracker, not just the release view, but the progress tracker as well, using a tool called the Shiny Tracker, made by Shiny Hobo, who's a fan who looks at the Delta report, which is what has changed since the last update. So, in order to fully understand this, as you know me, if you've been watching me, let's go through piece by piece to understand everything about the roadmap, the context of the roadmap, some rules about the roadmap, and then we'll get on to the update. So grab yourself something to drink, something to eat, because this is going to be a little bit of a longer one. But just like my other reports, like roadmap roundups, as well as monthly reports, I think context is key. And me going through all of the stuff that I can find for you to hear is probably a better idea than just listening to a summary of what's changed and what's being added. Because on the surface, it can be very defeating to just see the small changes. But when you really crack open the hood and start digging around inside what CIG is doing, you get to learn a lot more about the priorities of what CIG is working on, to understand at least what is being done. Not necessarily what's going to be completed, but what's being done. So come join me. All right. So we're going to start with the roadmap companion. So at the bottom of every roadmap roundup, there is this link right here that's for a roadmap companion guide. This will tell you everything you need to know about reading the roadmap. So we'll read it cover to cover. The Star Citizen and Squadron 42 public roadmap is designed to give you an unprecedented look into the game development process by following every feature being worked on by our 50-plus development teams from their initial implementation to their release. Star Citizen and Squadron 42 are massive projects with lots to track, and this companion guide will help you read and navigate the roadmap for both projects, as well as provide additional insight into the processes behind it. All right. Progress Tracker. The cornerstone of the roadmap is the Progress Tracker view, which is the default view when you visit the roadmap. The Progress Tracker pulls back the curtains for all teams, showing you what each team is working on this quarter and what their priorities are after completing the deliverable at hand. This view presents a comprehensive look at features, art, and technologies scheduled for production within the next 4 quarters. Keep in mind that this isn't necessarily when these items will be completed, simply when work on them is scheduled to finish out by that team specifically. Below is a breakdown of information displayed on the progress tracker and how to navigate it. Now, before I go any further, what this means is twofold. Number one, if it is an end date at the progress tracker, does not mean when that item is going to release. It also doesn't mean that it can't release earlier than that. CIG has released items that were on the progress tracker before their sprint ended. There's a lot of other variables that go on to that. Another thing that I've been hearing floating around, and I've seen a couple people mention, is that they're under the impression that CIG said that everything that's on the progress tracker and the roadmap is a direct pull from their JIRA. I talked to Jake about this, who's the one who does a lot of this stuff, Jake Bradley, who works for CIG community. And he said specifically, and let me pull up my Discord here so I can show it to you. This is Jake right here. He says, we haven't done direct JIRA to roadmap exports like that since I started on this thing in 2020. I said I'll screenshot this and put it up. But all my data does come from JIRA. I just clean it up. So it's not just, it's from JIRA, not just a data dump on JIRA. Thanks. So there's a lot of jargon and other things that are cleaned up. That's effectively what this is. This is not necessarily a direct dump from JIRA, but it is a cleaned up information from their JIRA. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more context there. Now, with that all being said, noting that the other thing to note is that teams deliver at different points. I think they talk about upstream and downstream teams down here. They do. So we'll get to that point here in a moment. All right. All right. What is a deliverable? A deliverable on the progress tracker view is a one-to-one representation of a group tasks scheduled for work in a particular time period. This can be just about anything, a ship or a location, an AI behavior, or even a piece of core technology. Shown to the right is the list of deliverables for the actor feature team. This is the actor feature team. You can see all the deliverables will come over there here in a moment. So this is kind of what it looks like when you look at the progress tracker. A deliverable will house all work scheduled to be worked on for that specific deliverable, including varied disciplines. For example, if you clicked on the Drake Vulture, it would display work being done on numerous teams, such as concept art, audio, etc. You can sort between two major views when browsing the progress tracker. First, you can sort by teams, which allows you to browse any work being completed by a specific development team. Alternatively, you can sort by deliverable, which will allow you to browse any and all teams working on specific deliverable. This multi-path approach is meant to give you the tools you need to follow along with the development in great detail. Expanding a deliverable as shown in the image to the left gives you further insight into what teams are working on a feature and how long and for how long. Here you can see if the deliverable is being worked on simultaneously with another or the same team, signified by the striped progress bar. Finally, you can click on the team's abbreviation to navigate the above. So right here, for instance, this is Drake Vulture. We have the audio team, the US vehicle team, the vehicle experience team, and the vehicle effects team. All right. You can see all of what's being worked on, updated, and this is an old picture, but yeah, you can get the idea. This is from 3.16.1. Additional navigation. The progress tracker reveals 500 plus deliverables across 50 teams. It's no secret that such a large dataset can be overwhelming, which is why it was a priority for us to provide you with tools to easily navigate the presented information. Most importantly, while in the deliverables view, the search bar can help you find a specific deliverable based on a keyword or two. Both the deliverable names and the descriptions are indexed, so you're able to search for something even if you don't know what exactly it's called. Additionally, the filters on the right of the roadmap allow you to sort deliverables by projects, Star Citizen, Squad 42, or both, as well as their release view categories. So there's a bunch of different filters you can apply as well. So if you're interested in anything, if you're intrigued by anything, going to the progress tracker and going to deliverables and just typing in something, typing in like quantum economy or the RSI links, they'll pull up. If they are working on it, they'll have a link to that and they'll tell you which teams are working on it, how long they've been working on it for the sprint, and so on. And you can even filter out, if you don't want Squadron 42 spoilers, you can remove Squadron 42 entirely. So. All right. Upstream and downstream. So the difference between teams. Throughout our development communications, you will likely see us reference a team as designed upstream or downstream, which carries an important meaning. Upstream teams begin to work on any given feature at the beginning of its process. They typically handle things like art, vehicles, locations, and gameplay features. These teams set the major tentpole deliverables for the rest of Squadron and Star Citizen Squad 42. and as such, they're able to plan up to 4 quarters in advance, which is displayed in the progress tracker. Downstream teams are reactive and support the upstream teams, so they depend on upstream teams' scheduling and progress to determine their own work and priorities. Because of this, they're only available to plan for the upcoming quarter, rather than a full year. Example, vehicle teams. Upstream team began working on a new concept ship, the Aurora. The vehicle concept teams then schedule out the production of the Aurora from a design, art, and animation standpoint. Once the studio has nearly built the design and is close to final, the downstream teams jump on and beginning adding details like VFX, audio, UI, and UI. The important takeaway is that downstream team relies on the information from the upstream team in order to produce the schedule and plan. So, the upstream teams are the teams that make the initial tool sets and the sketches and kind of build everything out. And the downstream teams take all that content and make it into the game. So you need the upstream teams to work on it first, and the downstream teams to work on it second. Another example of this would be the life support systems. Life support system is an upstream content. Once it actually gets into the game, applying those life support systems to every individual ship is a downstream thing. They actually build out the systems in the ship, but building the actual feature is an upstream content. So, with that all being said, and they have the list of the upstream teams here, so you can actually see all of this link for an upstream and downstream team, so you know what's being worked on. You also find additional teams displayed on the progress tracker with scheduling data ending in the past completely. These are depreciated teams that have either been renamed, restructured, or combined with other teams. So there you go. Now, with that all said, the context of this update is that it's an upstream update. So everything we're seeing is the upstream teams giving us content. I think there may be a few downstream teams, but it's mostly an upstream update. It's also important to remember that not everything is on the roadmap, not just the tracker. And a lot of the trackers aren't updated. They update every 2 weeks, but not every team is updated every 2 weeks. Teams have staggered development, so they will update depending on when they're done with certain items. So we may not see a team update until months after we last got an update for it. All right. So let's look at the roadmap roundup for the current day. So hopefully everyone's kind of on board with what we've been doing so far. Happy Wednesday. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you an insight into the decision-making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you who help to make Star Citizen Squadron 42 possible. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this week's roadmap roundup. CG Community Team. Notable changes for February 22nd, 2023. Release View. The following card has been added to the Alpha 318 column on Release View. The RSI Scorpius Antares. Building, implementing, and balancing the RSI's EMP and Quantum Jammer equipped fighter, the Scorpius Antares, as a game-ready vehicle. That's it. So that's all we're getting for the release view. That may mean that there are more stuff coming because, again, not all the teams have been updated yet. So we may see more content being updated in 2 weeks from this Wednesday. So in like the second week of March, we'll know more about stuff that may or may not be added to 319. But release view is the stuff that's going directly to the game. It's the thing that they're willing to commit to. Now, progress tracker. With this published, we're adding the Q1 2023 and Q3 2023 schedules for the downstream and upstream streams, respectively, with more teams to be added in secretly published. So I was wrong. It's the downstream and upstream teams. The following deliverables have been added to this progress tracker. New missions, salvage contracts. With more civilian access to salvage ships, contract brokers are offering salvage jobs for derelicts around the Lagrange points around Stanton. These brokers charge a fee for their services and will require some buy-in, but the contractors are free to keep any salvage material for resale. Duster faction outfits. Developing multiple outfit variations on the Stanton gang, the Dusters, which is something they've been talking about over the monthly reports quite frequently. Master modes, implementing new modes to vehicles to manage their speed, components, and role-specific functions. This is the first mention of master modes, I believe, on the progress tracker, which is pretty big. Persistent Habs, previously removed from the U.S. Persistent Universe schedule. This deliverable returns the progress tracker with this publish. So if you're just reading this, that's all you get. We just kind of get some updates, but this isn't all that's actually done. CIG also updates things that have happened already. The problem is that CIG doesn't tell you what they've updated. That's where we have the Shiny Tracker. So this is just shinytracker.app. You can look up StarCitizen Shiny Tracker, again, made by Shiny Hobo. And there are two ways you can do this. You can do this by Delta reports and deliverables reports. So the Delta reports tells you the changes, what has changed from one report to another. And the deliverable reports talk about the associated work with that item. How long is it going to take for that item to be released? While the second part is interesting, the first part, I think, the progress Delta reports is what most people are looking for. So let's take a look at the progress tracker Delta reports. Again, this is a fan-made stuff, access to anybody. This is probably the best tool to use if you're looking for immediate, up-to-date changes to Star Citizen's progress. So there are 485 deliverables listed. There were 72 modifications, 1 removal, 4 additions to this update. Please note that all these removals are intentional. There's currently a bug with how time is entered in the progress tracker that can cause deliverables to disappear. Deliverables removed, unannounced. Last scheduled from 2022 07/11. So the date is not specific. It's general, but it's about the same thing. So it's from middle of. It started in middle of July, and then it was supposed to go till the end of November. This was a unannounced vehicle team that has 2 VFX teams that had ace tasks and 1 IT team that had ace tasks. So that was removed from there. It could have been the Antares, but they just swapped over from now that's unannounced and something else. We don't know. 4 deliverables added. So added as of January 1st, 2023. Which is scheduled to go until March 23rd, Duster Faction outfits. Developing multi-outfit variants for Sentin Gang, the Dusters. They have 4 art devs working with 10 tasks, and began work in the beginning of this year. Then Master Modes started on the 18th to the middle of January, and it's supposed to go until September 28th, so the end of September, early October. That may mean that Master Modes is not coming in until the end of this year, like 4.0, which is kind of corresponds with everything we know about Master Mode so far. For those of you who don't know what Master Modes are, this is the system that's designed to be able to let you quantum jump with kind of find a place and just hit quantum jump and go for a certain amount of distance. This is the controversial one where as you spool up your quantum, as you go faster, you spool up your quantum, and as you're spooling up your quantum, your shields go down, so it can be more vulnerable if you want to go faster. So this is the modes that they've been developed for Squadron 42. They're going to be coming into Star Citizen. This may indicate, and probably does indicate, that we're probably not going to see it anytime soon. However, that's not when it's going to release. It's not releasing on September 28th, 2022. It's just that's when this sprint ends. That also doesn't mean it can't release earlier. It really depends a lot on what CIG needs to release it, not just the sprint. The sprint just needs to complete that sprint. Well, I can't tell you that's just the new Scorpion variant. Is that so there's shinies in chat with talking about this. So that's why I was reading the chat real quickly about that, because I saw the name in there. Can't tell that's the new Scorpion variant. So there's no way to know if that is what it is. All it is just the unannounced ship. New missions, salvage contracts. From 2023 3/29 to 2023 9/20. So this was added to start work on the end at the end of March and is going to end around the end of September. With more civilian access to salvage ships, we've kind of gone over that already. Mission feature team will begin work on 3/29. 1 mission in dev with 12 tasks. We know that this mission contract is already been worked on by CIG. They've talked about it. And they know that it's planned for release in 3.19. It's already been put up on the release view. So this is an example of, though it's set to end on September 20th, that just means that they could be continuing to work on it well after 3.19. That doesn't mean that, it could also mean there's a bug, could be an issue on that. It's not that clear. But again, it's not the first time CIG would have scheduled a sprint to end after it's already been released into the game. So keep that in mind. RSI Scorpius Antares. This is interesting because CIG says they've been working on it since May of last year. And it's ended, it was ended on the the end of November of last year. This has been completed for a very long time. Implementing, building, and balancing RSI's EMP and Quantum Jammer equipped fighter, the Scorpius Antares is a vehicle-ready team. Now, we know that there was one audio dev, one art director, and 2 devs for VFX team. So 1 vehicle content team, 1 audio, and 2 VFX teams. Someone had asked before, well, maybe the Antares was just a 1-person training thing. It could still be a training thing, but in this case, we have at least 3 developers or 4 developers who were working on it, 4 devs who were working on this. And again, while Shiny Tracker does help you with this can all be cross-referenced here in the progress tracker. So let's go with RSI Scorpius. Scorpius Antares, right? So we have 3 teams: vehicle content, audio, and VFX. And we can see the vehicle content. So let's go with the VFX. I said there was 2 working on that. RSI Scorpius Antares. You see right here, it says 2 individuals working on that. So again, if you're like, hey, I don't know if Shiny Tracker got this right, you can always cross-reference it back to the progress tracker. It's a tool to help you track these things. So. All right. So yeah, that unannounced was definitely the Antares, is what Shiny Chobo is saying. All right. So with that being said, those are what's added. There were 72 deliverables updated. So this is a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go through in detail everything. I'm just going to read through to let you know what these changes are. Now that we kind of have the idea of how this works. Achievement service. This is started on the 21st or in August of 2021 and was scheduled to end on in middle of February. So this is extended a little bit to that, which it's not impossible to tell, because just because the sprint ends doesn't mean it's done yet. So the achievement service had extended and finished up its sprint around that time, or at least for the devs for the UI feature team that were working on it. AR and maps marker system rework. This is Squad 42 and Star Citizen. It was extended out to the middle of March, with 2 devs for UI feature team and 2 devs from, or 3 devs, 3 devs from the UI tech team. Artificial gravity. So this one is a big kick in the pants, because artificial gravity, as far as I understand, is also linked to the resource system, the similar thing. I could be wrong with that one, but I thought it was the same team. Could be wrong. Artificial gravity was extended to the end of September, with 1 engineering dev and 1 design dev, both from the EUPU gameplay feature team. ATC service. Now, this is the service that lets you contact ATC, land, all that kind of stuff. They extended the work from to August of 2023. So a little bit later than that. 2 engineering devs. Bombs. We have an extended to the beginning of February. Weapon content team added 27 days from Borg. Bounty Hunter V2. This was extended to May. I think that's right. Yeah, May. Just in my brain. With more work to be done. So Bounty Hunter V2 is actively being worked on. The fact that it's in May could mean that we see bounty hunting in 319. It could not. Again, this does not necessarily mean that. But it is a good sign that if this sprint is happening to there, and this is the Systematic Services and Tools team, this is something that's I believe, the upstream team for this sort of thing. So, and then they have an entire team for tech debt, which extended to the end of September. We have editor team has 5 engineers, engine team has 5 engineers, graphics team has 10 times 3, 13 engineers, and then 3 tech content, 2 times 3. 5 engineering devs from the live tools team, 4 engineering devs, physics team, systematic. So this is one of those things where they're constantly working on tech debt, going back and trying to fix issues from the past. So this is not an insignificant amount of the team who's just working on tech debt. This was extended from June to September. It'll probably get extended again. All right. This was chapter 1 has been extended to to April. We have several new devs being in here for chapter 1. We have all these Squadron 42 updates extended to March, February, March, February, April, March. That's the character creators a little back there. So, a lot of stuff from Squad 42 is reaching its sprint end in March, April, and February. I've already ended in February. And if you can go through this, you can see what they're working on. So, for instance, Chapter 1, the AI content team was working on it. The audio team was working on it. The character tech art team was. And Squad 42 UI feature team was also working on it. Chapter 1. Chapter 2, they just had the character art team is working on it. Chapter 3 has character art. Chapter 4 has content team and character art. 5, AI content team, character tech art, Squadron 42 character art. Squadron 42 UI feature teams, Chapter 6. Squadron 42 character art team. Chapter 9, art team. 11, art team. Chapter 12, AI content team, audio team, character tech, and Squadron 42 character art. Chapter 14, audio and Squadron 42 character art. 17, Squadron 42 character art. 18, Squadron 42 UI feature team. 19, Squadron 42 character art. 21, AI content team. Chapter 22, AI content team, character tech art, Squadron 42 tech character art. And 26, Squadron 42 character art. So you see a lot of character artwork. This is likely going to be extended out because this is probably a lot of upstream stuff. So we'll probably see some more stuff go forward. This doesn't mean that Squadron 42 is done in April. Do not take that as what this means. It just means that they're kind of currently working on a lot of character art, AI, and UI stuff, which is, if you read the monthly reports, tracks with that. Then character creator. They extended this to March. This is for Squadron 42, not necessarily Star Citizen. Graphics team was added to it, and the UI feature team was added to it, which is, again, matches up with what we've seen in the monthly reports. Dynamic events. This was extended to end of March, early April, and it's the mission team freed up 93 days of work with 9 design devs and 4 engineering devs. So they actually reduced the load on some of them, I believe. Entity Properties Plugin. This is for both. Editor team. FPS devices, T1. End date has been extended to March. We've got 1 animation dev, 3 art devs. So FPS devices, this is something they've talked about in the past. That they're working on it, and that's why we have the weapon content team. They've really been doing a lot of research, been trying to focus on it. This is things like deployable shields, robots or drones, other little bonus kind of things to throw down that you can have like little gadgets for. You can think of this as the FPS gadgets team. Freight elevators. This is one of the big ones they've been talking about in the past. This was extended, or not extended, this was revealing 7 days of work, so it's ending in early March, with 1 engineering dev with 1 task, so it's pretty heavy. Frontier Clothing was extended to end of March. This was character tech art team and Star Citizen character art, with several devs with working on this sort of thing. So they're really pushing hard on Frontier Clothing, which makes sense, it's part of Pyro. Gen 12 renderer T1. This has been extended to the beginning of March, with 4 engineering teams, and from the engine team, and then the graphics team has several engineering devs, 9 engineering devs. Grey Cat Industrial Salvage Tool. This was extended to the end of January. This included a weapon content team, which is just, we've seen this before. This is the, I believe this is the, let me look it up real quickly, because this is the one that trips me up. Designing and creating a standalone salvage tool includes asset creation, animation, and balancing. So this is the one that is the dedicated salvage tool. Not your hand salvage tool, it's part of the multi-tool. This is a dedicated salvage tool. So that's been worked on. The last time was updated sprint was the end of January. Hacking Tier 0. This was extended to March with the UI design, UI feature team with 1 design dev and 1 art dev working on it. This is for Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. Hex. Now the Hex is an editor tool. That was extended to the end of March, and there's 5 engineering devs working on it. Jump Points, which we now see is finishing up this sprint around June. But they added 1 engineering dev with 10 tasks. Life Support T0. This is the other one. Life Support is connected, I know, to the resource system. And it looks like they extended the date from June to September. So this is a big one. Almost certainly will not see life support or the resource system, the resource management system in 3.19. I could be wrong. Could be reading this wrong. Again, CIG doesn't necessarily always, the end of the sprint doesn't mean that's when it's done, nor does it mean that it has to get there before it can be released at all. They have released before when it's ready. But part of the full context of everything, it seems like Life Support Tier 0 is still a ways away. So maybe the end of this year sort of release rather than this summer. It's a little bummer, but it's what it is. Lockable containers. This is extended to the end of September. This includes 2 EUP game play teacher team, 2 design devs, and an engineering dev. Loreville Cityscapes. This was added to the 3.19 release window. This was releasing at the end of, or ending at the end of March. Map and radar system rework. This was something they really touched on in the last Squadron 42 monthly report and on the Star Citizen monthly report. This was extended to the end of March. It has a graphics team with 1 engineer, 3 engineering teams from the Squadron 42 UI feature team, 2 art devs from there, 1 design dev, and 2 engineers from the UI tech teams. This is a big project they've been working on. This is the other thing they've talked about a lot, the MFD rework. This is scheduled to end sometime in June, but it has Squadron 42 UI feature team that has 1 design and 1 art dev. They added 13 days of additional work. MISC Whole C, which is in Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. This was extended to the beginning of March, and they added 2 audio devs with 9 tasks. Now, this is all miscellaneous support. If you look up the, I think the progress tracker, if we go, it's right here. Includes 40 teams. See all the whole thing. This is just other stuff that maybe didn't deserve in its full attention. This was extended to beginning of September. We have AI content team, editor team, graphics team, systematic services and tools team, UI tech team, and USPU team, feature team. The Mother Glass rework was extended to from 11/17 to 1/29. So this sprint ended at the end of January, which included one tech team, a UI tech team, and with one engineering dev. The new player experience, this was added to the release window with the release at the beginning of March. Again, not a release, I should say a completion of the sprint. NPC schedule services, this is how NPCs will be able to do various tasks and what they do and how they function. This is in the game already, it's just very basic compared to what they want to do in the future. This was extended to this current August, from what was originally from the end of August. This is the Systematics Tools and team added 54 days of work with 3 engineering devs. Ocean shader improvements. This was extended again to the beginning of March with 2 engineering devs. The Origin X1. This was, we have 1 design dev with 4 tasks and 3 art devs still scheduled to finish the sprint at the end of June. So we're not going to see this in Invictus. It'll probably be released sometime after that. Maybe IAE. We'll see. Persistent Habs, the one we talked about already. This was extended to the end of August. So again, probably not something we're going to see until after 4.0. Who's hard to say. The USPU gameplay feature team added 1 design dev with 2 tasks and 3 engineering devs with 13 tasks. Persistent streaming and server meshing. This is one that constantly goes out. This was extended to 9/20. Does that mean that we're going to have server meshing done? No. Does that mean that PES isn't going to be done until 9/20? No. That means just that this is what we're going to see for persistent streaming and server meshing. It's just the work that they're working on. We have added 56 days of work for the engine team, the game services team added 55, mission feature team added 83, network team added 54, and persistent tech team added 54, with 4 engineers from persistent tech, 9 engineers from network, 3 engineers and 1 design dev for mission feature, 10 engineering devs for game services team, and 1 engineering dev from the engine team. This is 73 updates, so it's going to take me a bit. Physical damage and breakability. This was extended out to the beginning of March of this year. This included physics team with 3 engineering devs with 58 tasks. Oh, yeah. And as Shiny Hobo just pointed out to me, if you click on the title, it'll go directly to the progress tracker. So it's a pretty cool little tool. I'll have the link in the description below for y'all. Physics rope simulation. This is extended to the beginning of March. We have 1 engineering dev with 14 tasks. Player interaction experience, tier 0. This is the hints and interactions. This is a Squadron 42 and Star Citizen team, but the person that they added with this one is extended out to the end of March, but specifically with the UI feature team getting 26 days of work with 1 art dev and 1 design dev. So this seems to be more Squadron 42 facing than Star Citizen facing. Player interaction experience version 2, HUD and the visor HUD and element. This was still scheduled at the end of March, but they freed up 15 days of work with 1 design dev, 1 animation dev, and 2 engineering devs. They added 13 days of work for Squadron 42 for each one for the UI with engineering, art dev, and 2 design devs. And the UI tech team was assigned to revealing 9 days of work. So they got 9 days of work with engineering dev. Quantum simulation. This was extended from the end of June to the end of September, so closer around October. They added 82 days of work with 1 design dev with 2 tasks and 6 engineering devs from a systematic services with 191 tasks. So there's a lot of work being done. Now, again, this doesn't mean nothing's being done, but they've just added more work to do. Quantum travel experience. Extended to the end of March or the middle of March with the Squadron 42 UI team. So again, Squadron 42 focus, even though it's Star Citizen. Resource management. End date was extended to the end of September of this year. We have the EU gameplay feature team. They added a bunch of engineering devs and vehicle content team. Then we've got the RSI links. So the RSI links was extended from 3:30 to 4/05, so to the beginning of April, so not that much, with one audio dev being added. So we may see the links before Invictus, depending on what's going on. Generally speaking, the audio devs, I believe, are the downstream teams, so we're looking at something that's more of a downstream stuff. Then everyone's favorite, the RSI Polaris. This was extended from June to September. Now, this is where things get a little bit painful. It's the vehicle content team. They added a bunch of stuff, and that's great, but it's 7 art devs. So we're still looking at an upstream for the RSI Polaris. We've kind of already knew that based off of what we've seen for updates, but it gives us some more context that it's still quite a ways away from release. That doesn't mean it won't be released this year. It still could, but it's hard to tell with this early on what they're doing on. We'll know more as we go through these progress reports throughout the year. Salvage vehicle munching. This was corrected from 10/12 to 23/01. So this was started at the beginning of this year, not from October. And it was moved closer from 6/19 to 3/28. So this may just be a small adjustment. Could be a changeover, but we know that they added an engineering dev. So we could see vehicle munching in 3/19. I don't think so, but we could. Salvage Tier 0. This was extended from the 24th to the 17th. This is Tier 0 salvage, which we have in 3/18. They added an engineering dev with 15 tasks. Security Network version 1. This was extended from the end of June to the end of September, with the mission feature team adding 3 engineers and 1 design dev to it. Squadron 42 vehicle support was extended to the end of September. Audio added 62 days of work, vehicle and 5 devs. Vehicle content, EU added 74 days of work with 4 design devs and 5 art devs. And then the weapon content team added 62 days of work with 5 art devs and 57 tasks. So it's all for Squadron 42. Star Wars improvements. End date has been extended from the end of the year last year to the end of March of this year. Tools team added 55 days of work with 2 engineering devs. Right. This is the one I have to look up the details for it. I can remember the names of it. This is the quality of life and workflow improvements for Star Words, our text localization tool, which handles most text within Star Citizen Squadron 42. Okay. Good to know. Test runner improvements. This was extended out from September of 2021. Okay, to the end of March, with 3 engineers being added from the tools and tips. This is another interesting one. Provides a standard setup for configuration files, the build folder, and data collection. These tasks will be improved reporting, allow easier analysis and results, along with continued work with future testing support. This may have to do with the pack files we've been seeing updates for the monthly reports, but I could be wrong. Because the P4K files are been updated recently. Now we get into the unannounced team. So the unannounced vehicle was extended to the end of June. This was the vehicle content. US was added art devs, design devs, and tech content. Then there's another one that was unannounced that was extended to the end of March. This was 2 vehicle content tech with 2 tech content devs. Then we have the unannounced vehicle, which was extended to the beginning of September, with 2 design devs from the EU and 5 art devs from the EU. The vehicle content team. They have an unannounced vehicle, which was 2 audio devs, which is ending in the end of April. We have vehicle tractor beams, which was extended out to the end of June, with the EU gameplay feature adding 15 days with 2 engineering devs and 1 design devs. So that means the vehicle tractor beams probably means we won't see it in 3.19. Again, it is not necessarily the case, and they have been talking about it in the monthly report, so this is one of the ones we have to kind of follow closely, but especially with the SRV being pretty close. But that's what we know about the vehicle tractor beams, which is a nice update to adding more devs to it. The same release, though. The virtual AI service was extended out to the end of August, with systematic services and tools team adding 81 days of work and 2 engineers devs. The Volt Fresnel, this is the new weapon, which is for Star Citizen Squadron 42. Weapon content team added 26 days, 2 art devs for it, and it was extended out to the end of February. Then we have the last one, which was Weapon Misfire and Wear, which still releasing at the end of June, or at least finishing up their sprint at the end of June. This Weapon content team added 13 days of work, 1 animation dev, and 2 art devs with 11 tasks. So, what does this mean? Well, in summary, we have the addition of the Scorpius to the release view. We have Salvage, Duster, Master Modes, and Persistent Habs have all been added to the Progress Tracker. With the Delta Progress Tracker, we see a lot of changes over, a lot of upstream teams working on stuff for Squadron. We also see a lot of other things being updated, like virtual AI services, the Volt weapons, Weapon Misfire, a lot of teams being added to it, and some changes. Most of the changes are just to keep up to date with some of the stuff that's being important for release in 3.19 or beyond, stuff that's being focused on this year. Things like the Security Network, version 1, the Salvage Vehicle Munching, Weapon Vehicle Tractors, the RSI Links, the Polaris, the Resource Management. As you saw, that was extended out to 9.25. I think I may have actually skipped over that, but that was a big one. Resource Management's probably not coming in 3.19. Then we've got the quantum travel simulation, the quantum simulation, quantum travel experience, quantum boosting. All of that is, some of that's coming in, like the simulations in September, quantum travel experiences in March. I think the same thing with quantum boost for some of those things. The Origin X1, Persistent Habs coming at the end of August. Server meshing stuff being updated for later. It's an overall mixed bag. A lot of stuff which seems to be pointing towards the prioritization of stuff we already know, and other stuff being updated for later down the road, which is stuff we know they've been working on. Tools, and of course, content to support salvage, bounty hunting, trading, Gen 12 stuff, new factions, new missions, dynamic events, and Squadron 2 stuff. So, this is the first time I've done one of these things, so I hope it wasn't as rough as I thought it was. If you enjoyed this, if you like me going through this content and talking about it and kind of pulling it out based off of my own experience, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know that, because this is stuff I decided to do based off of kind of actually digging into the Shiny Tracker. If you're really interested in a more deep dive on any one of these specific items, I would highly suggest Tree 0311 and Nazareth's podcast, the Pathfinder's Podcast. They go through the Shiny Tracker and the progress report, and they devour it. They spend 4 hours on these updates to kind of really key in on everything that's changed and things that they've been working on. So I would highly suggest, I'll put their link up there for those of you to go subscribe to that to Tree's channel, to go check out the Pathfinder's Podcast. Please do. And like I say every time, of course, join us live on Thursdays if you want to see more stuff like this. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.